that, in my opinion, just all parties, whether it's Saints or his haters or everybody, in my eyes, is losing aura at the more this mannerism is applied to a conversation like this. Because I want us all to back away for a second and remember, we're all talking about a story in a video game that sells anime girls. Relax. It's not a big deal. It's fine. Welcome back to a drama so Chinese. Even Kudu Games subscribed. In today's video, it seems that Saintontas is back at it again with critiquing the 3.5 story. And let's just say people aren't necessarily taking kindly to what he has to say about the story. Now, in my opinion, what is happening is more so a problem of the messenger more so than the message. I have watched the hour-long video. I have taken notes. If I missed something, I apologize. That shit was an hour long. Sometimes you space out, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But all in all, there was some points I agree with. Some points I feel like were more a matter of taste and perspective more than anything else, and trying to create some level of general consensus based on your perspectives on what you deem is good and not good, enforcing it upon other people and trying to put them down for not having a similar perspective as you can definitely be a bit of a problem when having a conversation like this. Because I think, let's first and foremost, I think the conversation is a good conversation to be had. I do. I know we're critiquing Kuro Games and Wuthering Waves. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss any updates.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXV Gacha.
And considering how cinema some of the cutscenes can be, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I watch some cutscenes and stuff, not do the stories in Wuthering Waves, that shit is cinema. All right, it's an experience you're just not gonna get anywhere else right now in the market. And so critiquing something like that is like, oh my god, what are you complaining about? You can play this stuff for free, like you spoiled or something. There's always those weirdos, but all in all, I think there is room for critiquing. And before I can get into this, I kind of have to want to give my take, because yesterday the reason why I didn't upload any videos is because I have spent the entire afternoon, I lied to you, I'm not, playing Wuthering Waves. I had to catch up with the Lucilla quest. And after that, I transitioned to the new 3.5 quest. And it was a good transition, you know, finishing up with Lucilla, you know, doing everything, tying the knot for Lahairoi students and everything, and then just moving on was good. You know what I'm saying? It was good. The goodbye. He said that Saint thinks it was cheesy. He didn't like it. For me, it was heartfelt. You know what I mean? We just got to 3.0. It marks, you know, a certain checkpoint of, well, it's time to move on to other things. And Lahairoi was good, you know. All in all, apparently the food sucks there, but what the characters are saying, I kind of don't blame them. They are in the middle of the desert. But I think besides the food, it's a good story. It was good. We fought as a Gundam in the moon or whatever, where we were in space. Amieth, we had the whole thing with Amieth. We had the Cyberpunk collab. I mean, Lahairoi marked quite the moment for Wuthering Waves players, especially day one players like myself. And it was pretty heartfelt. And then moving on to the nostalgia of going back to Jinzhou, meeting the old characters like Jizha, Baiji, stuff like that. That was fantastic. Playing as Yang Yang and Chisha right off the bat to set up the plot was I'm a nostalgic kind of guy. Now maybe for Saint it's not, but for me, I'm a nostalgic kind of guy. And because of that, it was heartfelt for me. You know what I mean? As a day one player that has been around this bitch for two and so years, it's means something, man. It means something. It does. It really does. And so really that was a very powerful moment that really had me on the edge of my, like right off the bat, I'm locked in my seat. Like okay, we're doing some of that nostalgia shit. I'm in for the ride. Also seeing Jinsei and still keeping that magistrate, you know, that position that she has in the Jinzhou was interesting. If only she wasn't as washed as she is in the meta. Buff my girl Jinsei. Now, I heard that apparently this is a bit of a spoiler, I apologize, but apparently the Sentinels of both the New Zone and the Jinzhou kind of knew each other. Maybe H-Sin might be the buffer for Jinsei, but then again, that'd be too much of wishful thinking. I'm pretty sure she's going to be her own DPS because Sentinels typically tend to be DPSs, but a man could hope. A man could hope. These two seem to be in, they have a bit of a relationship, so who knows? A man could hope. I just want my GNC buff, to be honest with you. I miss my girl farming aura so much. Here's something else that a lot of people are complaining about that for me was a tad bit annoying, but all in all, I could manage to absorb it because of the nostalgia appreciation I had and the fact that I'm a day one player, and also the enjoyment I have towards the thematic suggested to me. The start of the story was a lot about world building, setting up the plot, etc., which took a little bit of time. I personally appreciated it. I did. There was a lot going on. It was good to absorb all in all. For me, it worked, but I can see how it can be problematic for some. 1,000,000%. Something cool I've noticed is about the story is a multi-elemental rover. We finally have a little mention of rover. So typically what they do is they will have 3 elements of rover in one team. You can keep switching between rovers to symbolize the fact that rover can switch elements. But there was this one moment when he transformed into Electro Rover. Spoiler alert, my apologies. His skill, his E, becomes like you can do different types of damages with the other elements you've already unlocked. Why the hell? What are we waiting for to make Rover like a, for example, you're in combat, you can have a button dedicated to just him where it's like that wheel where you can choose utilities. You can choose which element to transform to in the middle of battle. I think that would be really, really cool and would set the rover apart, as obviously Genshin Impact is doing with the element system. I think Genshin Impact should do the same too, especially Genshin Impact. But that might be a little OP because Traveler could then be able to trigger reactions with himself. We'll see, but they can balance that out. But anyway, multi-elemental to be done fluidly within the one character would be really, really cool. Just like they do it in the lore. I want to do what he does in the stories. Can I do that? I'd appreciate it if I could. And they seem to be finally dabbling with the idea of implementing it, and I'm very excited about that if they were to implement it fully. I did notice a bit of power scaling issues. I didn't hear Saint talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it here. Rover is so powerful that when he was in trouble against some machine, now obviously they're trying to set up like these machines to be very powerful. They're like the Sentinels. It's kind of like they represent the Sentinel coming in and doing all this stuff through the robots. Maybe that's why they're so powerful, but I feel like Rover losing to something like that when we were just literally 3 patches before we were in space in a Gundam battling and shit. I don't know, man. It's yeah, I think there's some power scaling issues and some suggestions they do. This is the problem with setting up your protagonist to be very powerful. And I don't know, that I feel like sometimes the power scaling was weird to me personally. Next, I've noticed there was this a battle scene where you play as Soy, Yang Yang, and Rover, and they brought back that link thingy where all 3 characters show up on the screen, and there's this mode where like you have your ult all the time and stuff like that. It's just a matter of cooldown, but you always have full energy, max energy on your things. Why the hell isn't this implemented in the game? We've seen this before around. If you're a day one player, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was this event where you have this little thing. It's all about activating that one mechanic of linking your 3 characters together. It was a ton of fun. It's super cool. I don't know why we don't have that. They should implement it as a mechanic within the game. That would be fan-freaking-tastic. I don't know why they don't want to do that. But yeah, there it is. And finally, we had Paragon Xinxiao. I think her name is Xinxiao. Is by far gotta be the coldest pull-up we've seen in the game. And next, we also had Yang Yang having the best transformation because we get to see her naked. I mean, who is going to complain about that one transformation? That is the Gunnar version of the Super Saiyan transformation. So, yeah. So, anyway, this is just some of the parts I noticed about the story where I land. I'm giving the story an 8 out of 10. The reason why it's an 8 out of 9 that I typically give is obviously because sometimes it did feel like the pacing can be a little sluggish at times. I can still appreciate it, but considering I have to be somewhat fair in my rating to the story, I have to consider the general populace of doing the story. I'll have to give it an 8. But for me personally, at a personal level, Easy 9 out of 10, 100%. I'm taking out the one because of that one issue that I can clearly see some people that may not have the same perspective and taste, and as nostalgic as myself, will clearly have an issue with it, just like saying here, and I feel like is a good transition for us to move to his points right here. I have left them in my notes, and if I miss anyone, just please let me know in the comments. We can maybe make a part 2 or something. So, first and foremost, he starts with, he comes out swinging. There is no skip button in certain cutscenes. I did notice that it can be a little bit of an issue, 100%. I don't know why people would want to complain about that. And this is what, I feel like is a problem with the messenger more so than the message, because I feel like some of the things suggested here are clear flaws that, and also the messaging, I feel like Saint can be a little aggressive, classic Saint. He's gonna ruffle some feathers in his approach, and I hope here, at least with a different type of mannerism and a different type of messenger, we can have a more productive conversation towards us, because I do once again feel like this is a conversation to be had that is important for us to let the devs know to always keep improving the quality of the game we love. It's just a positive thing all in all for everybody. I did notice the lack of skip button there. For me personally, considering I was enjoying the quest, it wasn't a big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and say, all right, look, it was a non-issue for me. But I understand, once again, it's at a personal level. For me, it wasn't an issue. They cooked so well. I was so in love with what they were presenting. It didn't matter to me. It was annoying to keep knocking on doors. It was, but it's a bit of a pause, because my favorite game is The Witcher 3. And I've done shit like that in The Witcher 3 too. And I would do that in The Witcher 3 and not complain, because when I play The Witcher 3, I'm more on a relaxed mindset. I don't have any rushing to do. I feel like Saint may have had an issue with some of these things because he's a streamer. He has to get his opinion about this as fast as possible. There's a certain rush to really want to get your opinion out there. That's just the name of the game. And because of that, stuff like this can really get in the way when you're in that rush mentality. However, when you're in a relaxed mindset and you just want to take in, have a good time, relax, which is what I did yesterday, I didn't mind it at all. Because I do the same shit in Witcher 3 too, and that's my favorite game. Because I have a relaxed approach and a relaxed mindset of I just want to have fun. I just want to relax. I just want to just chill and absorb something that is fun and enjoyable. And that's it. I think that's maybe why for some people it's an issue, and for some it's a non-issue, like myself. But I'm not going to sit here and deny the fact that options should always exist. The skip button should be available at all times for players to, if they don't enjoy the things that are being presented. You should never be locked into it. Now, I want you to keep that in mind, because this thematic is going to be repeated later. Now, Leroy's goodbye was corny to him. That's something I said before. To me, once again, it was a great segue. It was emotional. There was some emotional impact. A little bit weird with the cheeses stuff. She looks at you like she's all in love and stuff. But then again, we did have that one date with her in another dimension, so that should do it, right? And also we had Amyth, daughter goodbye. That was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. I always see baby Amyth when I see Amyth. It's you know what I'm saying? Well, we're not real life dads, so we're at least dads in game. So, and we have girlfriends and we have girls that are in love with us, at least in game. We don't have him IRL, but at least we have him in game too, right? At least there's that. So next we have the new map and perspective mechanics are apparently a problem. I don't think, because he keeps mentioning the map. I'm trying to understand what he's trying to say, but apparently the moment the game starts showing you that map stuff, it means that the story is about to become bad or something. I don't know if he's complaining about the perspective or just that. I'm not certain, but if we're going to talk about perspective, I think he also has given positive reviews when it comes to that. I think Soy Soy's perspective was very, very good. It gave a lot of important context to what the hell is going on. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not going to lie. I started with that one first before I did Rover. And to be honest, I feel like maybe the Rover one wasn't important for the most part. Then Soy Soy's, think maybe a lot of complaints may stem from that. And also, it was refreshing to play as someone that is not Rover for a longer period of time, and that has set up the plot as far as they did that isn't Rover, and that isn't the character they're trying to sell, which is Yang Yang. That was massive. I think that is very important to keep in mind. That is a W for Kuro, 100%. And I think even Saint acknowledges that because he said that Soy Soy's quest was actually pretty damn good. Next point is apparently the world building sucks. This is again going to be a matter of perspective. He's trying to paint that due to the lack of viewership and people just not enjoying it as much. Some people, of course, not all. This is a bit of an issue. Obviously, it didn't hit as well as the previous ones. I can see the argument there that in terms of quality, it may not be as good as the previous ones, but I feel like it's more of a people enjoying certain thematics more than others, maybe, because the maybe can vary a lot. You know what I mean? The reason can vary a lot. And I'm not sure what people may find an issue with the most. Is it the world building? Is it the thematics? Is it maybe they're just tired because we're in 3.5 and this is just the start? Maybe some people are waiting for the story to keep up, to pace up a little bit more before they start digging in. I don't know. Like, it can be a variety of reasons. Maybe the hype is a little down right now because for players, we're just going back to a place instead of we're going to a new place, because Septimont, we're going to somewhere new. This is, you're basically Jinjo 2.0. Let's call it for what it is, all right? Septimont is like gladiators and stuff like that. It's a new thematic. This stuff is just Jinjo 2.0. Jinjo was China. This is just China, even more China. This is the China of China. This is the Chinification of China. That's how Chinese that shit was. And I didn't mind it. I liked it personally, but I can see how some, because like I said, I'm nostalgic, but I can see how some players may not feel the you know, let's just say the hype and the excitement to redo something they've already done before. So yeah, I think it may stem from something to just that, or it could be once again that the world building isn't hitting for a lot more players. I think it's a mix of all personally, but we'll see. It's just a matter of perspective, really. But again, the general consensus of it being bad just is a distant proposition that I feel like players are definitely going to push back against, myself included. Not everybody will feel that way because I don't feel that way, and I know a lot of players don't feel that way. So obviously, that's not necessarily the case, but does that mean that we should defend it? No, we're not going to defend it. We should definitely voice it to the developers. Just the mannerism should be proper, please. Next, we have knocking on the door, stuff like that. He did complain about stuff, you know, in that nature. And I think the issue with that just stems from the fact that it's a story told via a video game. A lot of the times, developers have to balance between cutscenes and giving you control, or at least doing something. It's very important because you are playing a video game. So because of that, they always have to give you these breaks to remind you that you have a controller in your hand. You're not just sitting there watching a movie. You have to interact with the story. That's kind of what makes them a story within a video game. And I think it just stems from something like that. They should obviously do it better, but all in all, this will always be the case. I don't think we can just remove it completely. It's always going to be there. Next, we have a lack of individuality to certain NPCs, especially the old ones. Apparently, some of the old characters, the NPCs within the story, had somewhat of a similar names. I can tell them from each other. I know the general is this Giga Chad, long-haired, Chinese-looking guy, just holy aura farm. But apparently he had a problem with the names. I think this is a nitpick that, sure, why not? You can have that, but how you won't see me rallying behind it with the flag up and stuff. Who cares? Next, we have you can't escape the quest to do dailies or something else. That is a huge complaint. Oh yeah, I don't know, I don't care who you are, this is a massive problem. And he even showed it. You can, if you're in the story and you try to teleport to something, it will not allow you to. You are locked, literally locked, until you finish the quest. That is a massive problem. I didn't see that because I didn't try it, because I enjoyed what the hell I was doing. But say for example I wanted to take a break. You know what, that's enough Wuthering Waves for today. Just gonna do my dailies real quick and move out. Or I got a call, important call, I can't finish the quest, right? I gotta move, I gotta go. But I don't want to miss out on getting my dailies, the premium currency. Can you see how problematic that is? 100%. And any lack of freedom and lack of options is always going to be something I complain about. This is a huge problem. They have to fix it. This was a good, clean call out. And I would hope that, once again, this showcases The problem is the messenger sometimes and not necessarily the message. And the messaging, of course. Saints, I'm not going to sit here and pretend you're not participating in this very sentiment thrown at you too, man. I was keeping it a bug. Oh, yeah. In addition to the lock of you can't even do your dailies and stuff, you don't have the freedom to go out there and, start exploring. They don't give you that breathing sound. I think they did. I'm not sure because I haven't tried. But I think at some point I did become Hayuki and I started moving around a little bit, but I'm not sure if I could teleport away, start exploring the region and stuff. I doubt it, to be honest, because now that I remember, I think when they switched, I was in this castle that had a tornado. I'm not too sure, but apparently you can't even do that. I'll take his word for it, and I can see that happen because if they're not allowing you to do dailies, why the hell would they not? Why would they stop there and not allow you to do that too? So, huge problem. Once again, we should have the option to explore and take things at our own pace, which is very important. Next, he's talking about the Twitch viewership. Again, it's not doing the best because of this. I'm crying, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, next we have CN are complaining about the pace of the story and world building as well. I bet they are. Interesting that it's from their own culture too, their own people complaining about this. This is very interesting. Next, we have story didn't hit for a lot of players, hence no viewership. The viewership apparently is low, even on something like YouTube. So the reason why that is happening is because, once again, the story just isn't the best. I think it's just the lack of hype because, once again, it's just we're doing something we've already done before. Maybe the hype wasn't as present this time around, but again, it depends on perspective of each individual player. I think getting a general consensus is going to be pretty difficult on this one. I'm just saying. I'm dying on the hill of it's a mixture of we've already done this before and that, well, maybe the world building and the pacing wasn't top notch for people that they didn't even want to see others do it because it's a little too much, or maybe they just wanted to hear what they have to complain about and move on. But anyway, next we have some positives where he said that the map is good, the region is good, the story, however, and the pacing sucked, got in the way of appreciating just that, which is a bit of an issue. Also, the song being long and repetitive, I did notice that a lot. It's a decent song, and I see what they were trying to do with it. It's just sometimes it can feel too forced, and it's a little tiresome at times. Next, we had an interesting one. Apparently, the pacing sucks only for people that have ADHD. This is some of the defenders of the story quest. Giving a reason as to why people aren't enjoying it. It's not that we could have maybe some fair critiques. No, it's you have ADHD. I lie to you, I'm not. This is how I went about the story. I played as much as I could. It's time I have to go do some grocery shopping. So I get up, go do some grocery shopping, do some cooking. That breaks, right? That's a small break that's important. I feel like 7 hours because I had to do the Lucilla one as well, if not more, because I spent the whole afternoon playing this. But of course, it was the whole afternoon because I was doing other things as well, like going outside, taking care of some things I had to take care of. At some point, I had to go do my daily walk, right? It's small breaths of fresh air to, let's just say, pause a little bit. And I do feel like this is the approach we should have towards these stories. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. These stories were supposed to be done at least in 2 days. Because you have Act 1, Act 2. You do Act 1, you stop there, and then you do Act 2 the next day. I feel like that's the healthy approach, employed approach to wanting to do the story quest. We all know it. It's just that we're a little too unemployed sometimes, and it was a Sunday for me. You can be a little unemployed. You sit there, you want to do everything in one sitting. But sometimes I get tired, and I just want to do something else, right? That's a little too much game time in one go, right? It's very consecutive. I need a little break, a little small pause, go do something, touch grass, and then go back. It feels refreshing too. And also, the reason why I said Act 1, Act 2 should be approached like that, something I like to do when watching animes or, series or stuff like that, I like to watch like 1 to 3 episodes for anime, 1 or 2 episodes for series, and leave some for later. It's very important. I think it's very healthy. I like it personally. I noticed that doing, absorbing a story or a media in one sitting can be very, very tiresome. So, all in all, what I'm trying to say is we should have a more healthier approach to this. Sure, I see what the defenders are trying to say. You just have ADHD. If you were healthy, you wouldn't have an issue with that. Yeah, sure. but that's not necessarily much of a defense. Like, what are we even talking about here? Next, we have Liang Yu ruined the quest. Liang Yu, for those that don't know or forgot like myself, is that NPC that was very much so highlighted within the quest. Now, apparently she ruined the quest to him. It was okay-ish for me. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. It was okay. But once again, we go back to perspective. It didn't do it for him, but it kind of did it for me. It's fine. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Hell yeah, why not? Oh, no, it was fine. Again, perspective. I'll respect his as long as he respects mine. We're good. Next, we have It's All Hype, Aura Farming, and because of Qin Xiao, there is no world building. So apparently Qin Xiao just pulled up and, you know, she had the coldest pull up in the game. We all know that. And apparently that was an issue for him, and he expands on that further later. But It's All Hype and Aura Farming, the world building sucks because of that. I'm not sure about that. I think the aura farming moments were deserved. That's just me. Like, the world building was kind of hit where it made them feel deserved. For example, Yang Yang. I don't know. Chinsho feels a little free, obviously, because there wasn't much building to her. She just showed up. Like, it is that shock moment, maybe. But that's kind of the point. She's obviously supposed to be some divine type of intervention in a way. That's kind of the vibe she gives me. We still have to know more about her. She's a little mysterious. But all in all, for me, it hit. It was. Obviously, she's supposed to be a very powerful character. It's kind of like a Sentinel type characters. I mean, when Karthathea shows up, you know stuff is going to turn to our favor. Like, duh. She's a very powerful character. Qin Xiao kind of does the same. So I don't know, man. I feel like it was a bit of a nitpick. He expands on it further, and I will as well. But going to the next point is defending the quest is useless, as clearly there's critiquing to be done. And to which I agree. Why are we defending the quest when there are clear criticisms that can be given? For example, lack of skip button, lack of freedom to go out there and do what you want to do within the gacha game. Right? Stuff like this is clearly problematic and should be critiqued. However, if we're talking about the storytelling, yeah, sure, the pacing can be navigated easier through the skip button, which should also be optional, always available whenever we want. And the fact that they don't give you that gets in the way of you choosing the pace you want to be able to consume the content the way you want, and how you can be more tolerant in absorbing it. And the fact that they failed to do that is problematic and should be called out, and I'm with him on that one. Next, he calls out Neon Infinity. I think he's a kudu bat or something. He got called a bitch because some people don't want to see negativity on Twitter. I'm kind of with him there. If you don't want to see negativity, Twitter is definitely the place you don't want to look at. But then again, farming Saints can be easy 1 out of 10s. So I don't think Neon meant that. I think we all know secretly it was an easy 1 out of 10, like my ass is doing right now. Next we have. But besides that, of course, this is a conversation that the space is having right now, and I think it's important to break it down, but not necessarily go at Saint mainly only. I do like to tackle the conversation at hand. Next, we have YouTube views for this quest are low compared to Renacida and Amieth and the Cyberpunk stuff. Understandably so. Renacida was new, which was the refreshing of Wuthering Waves. The Amieth and Augusta stuff were very, very powerful moments. Septimont was a new theme. This one is not necessarily a new theme. I think that plays a massive part. I think people are underplaying just how powerful of a factor this is to how popular the quest is right now. Also, the Cyberpunk stuff, was probably the most amount of views people can get on YouTube playing the game. So yeah, of course, like that's gonna happen. I'm not surprised to see that happening. But he's trying to expand on it more, that it's not that, but it's because of his complaints. Could be part of it, can't be the full picture. And I think the factors of this is being a repeat of something already done is a major one, even more so than the complaints of pacing. But that's just me though. Qin Xiao apparently is a deus ex machina, an ass pull and not great writing. This is something I have to disagree. Qin Xiao doesn't strike me as that type of character, because ultimately she didn't solve the problem. She didn't. Yang Yang had to solve the problem, and Yang Yang's transformation was being hinted at as we kept moving. And if you know from the banner that she is going to transform, you kept waiting for that moment. Like, for example, we were at this top of a hill, and then she started absorbing the wind like this to just see the path she's supposed to take. I'm like, oh, is this it? Oh, hey, when you transform me, bitch. Right. It keeps you a bit of an edge when you see Yang Yang on screen and there's blue energy around her. You're like, oh, is this it? Is this it? Right? We're all waiting for that one moment. Obviously, they were going to leave it for the end, but a man could hope. I feel like that was the moment that made that finished the final boss, the Miyu, I think it was his name, something like that. But her pulling up from there is an aura farming and sets up the character as a powerful entity that can be relied on, but nothing more. That's all. It's like Augusta in a way. It's like, when Augusta pulls up, she's gonna help. Like she will pull her weight. She makes your side of the battlefield a lot more powerful. Sentinels as well. So, and considering also the lack of a Sendochu plot, we needed some character that is almighty. And Xin Xiao was that. And I think we can all appreciate that. I mean, what's the problem? I mean, Genshin Impact, we had Ning Wang, a 4-star, basically the one controlling the fortress and, doing all this, like those giant rocks being thrown at the enemy. It was good. Like, well, that's not a Deus Ex Machina. That's just powerful units within their realm. That's just the way it is. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, Jesus. And also, Deus Ex Machina means an Aspel that actually fixes the problem, which Xin Xiao didn't fix the problem. They were just in trouble. They obviously set that up so that she can shine and have her moment, because they got to start advertising these units. Because let's not forget, I would like all of us to take a small step back and remember that you are watching an ad for certain units. All right, this is all ads to future products you're gonna have in the game. We all know it. And the biggest ad was obviously for Yang Yang. So remember that. This is important. And so because of that, with that into consideration, I cannot see. I think this is just him doing, the toxic saint shit. This kind of made me not want to take a lot of what he was saying seriously. But I recognize that was just his, his toxic stuff. So I decided to just disregard it and, keep listening and, keep my mannerism clean. You know what I'm saying? Next, we have the payoff didn't hit because we didn't get attached to the NPCs enough, which is why the quest suffered as a whole. I think this is something a lot of people can get behind. All in all, there was a lot of forcing you to care. I kind of cared. I'm not gonna lie, kind of cared, because the atrocities that we were looking at, that it's very hard not to feel for the populace. It's very hard not to feel for them. It didn't for him. He needed more build-up, but for me, it was enough for me to care, to be honest. But I can see his points. He also made the comparison to, for example, in Septimont, where we cared a lot more about people than here. I don't know why it was the case. Maybe because this one was chewed longer. I'm not sure, but anyway, I guess that's a complaint. He believes that this would have been fixed if the finale of the quest was one patch later, which again, I mean, it's a good proposition. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on it. I feel like the more foreplay we had, the more the ecstasy of the finale is going to be, if you know what I mean. Next, we have the showcase. The YouTube video they put out every time a unit comes out was better than the finale for Yang Yang. As in, the way she transformed in the trailer was a lot better than the way she transformed within the story. I think his complaint was the power of friendship versus, a solo power-up through the power of friendship as well. I think the mix is always the best, but I feel like he it's very important to someone like him for, that it's kind of like Vegeta. Vegeta becoming a Super Saiyan God. He didn't do the ritual to absorb energy from the other Saiyans to become a Super Saiyan God like Goku did. No, he got there on his own. Some people appreciate that. I appreciate the power of friendship. I do. Who would have seen that one coming? And so it was okay for me. Also, I like the build up to it. It kind of hit for me personally. So this is again a matter of perspective and taste. Next, he made the comparison of Augusta versus Yang Yang and Septimont versus China, going again back to something we've already played and something that was refreshing. Augusta, let's just say, was the moment of her, let's just say, powering up was more impactful than the Yang Yang one. Let's call it 40. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Augusta is more aggressive, is more you say something we, for example, if you like Dragon Ball, you're gonna appreciate the Augusta one more than Yang Yang. Yang Yang one seems more spiritual, more calm. You know what I mean? It's like that Chinese dynasty type of power up that feels somewhat free because of the lack of aggro within it. I can't really put it into words, but I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Whilst Augusta is like this warrior that has, you know, made herself through sheer fucking will and managed to call upon, and she's such a badass that she managed to call upon the spirit of the warriors that have fallen. God damn. Yang Yang one seems to be absorbing the pain and suffering from them and not that warrior spirit, which again goes back to, like I said, which is I think why her element is havoc. By the way, now we know why. Because she's absorbing the chaos, the trauma that the spirits of the fallen have been feeling all this time, and giving them some form of peace, as we see through the bird. Like the bird symbolizes freedom and the peace and stuff like that. And I think this is what thematics was supposed to be. Again, going back to it, it's a matter of thematics. Some will hit for you and some won't hit for you. I like them both. Who do I prefer? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. As long as Power of Friendship is there, I'm all with them. But I think both of them are fine. You know, one is the chosen one. Yang Yang was a bit of a chosen one. And I think also it's a reference to maybe for later stuff. I'm pretty sure they're going to expand more on it on the lore. Because there was this moment where she said, you know, someone talked to her like a Yang Yang, an illusion of her. Talked to her. It's like, after you do this, there's no going back. As in, if you transform to this, maybe next you transform to the first thing we see when we start the game or something like that. Also, they made a small reference. I don't know if you guys caught it. When she pushed Chisha away at the start of the quest, I think that was a reference to the start of the game. Maybe Yang Yang is our girl. We all think it's Yang Yang because they look alike a lot. And we also wake up to Yang Yang. And also, at some point, Rover suggests that she also lost her memory. And he said, oh yeah, that could never be possible. Right. So you say, Bucko, I believe you. Oh yeah, I so believe you. I'm on to you, bitch. But yeah, there was a lot of foreshadowing, something I appreciated a lot if you've been paying attention. But again, going back to his point, it's all a matter of perspective, and you're noticing that this is a reoccurring theme. And next we have Septimon versus China, is that they force the CN culture too hard. This is something I can somewhat agree with, but I don't mind it. I kind of like it. I think it was cool. I like the whole mythical CN or Asian stuff, like Japanese, Chinese, whatever. It's so cool, right? There's a certain level of grace to it. I like it. I like it. I really do. I think it's a very spiritual. It's something I can resonate and connect with a bit. It's beautiful, right? It's a breath of fresh air from what we have out there in the West and stuff. So it's good. I think it's cool. But again, going back to it, matter of perspective. Maybe the CCP forced them to do it a little too hard for where people might not appreciate it, but hey, for me, it hit, but I can see how it may not hit for some that do not appreciate that stuff as much as I do. So once again, going back to right off the bat, you're noticing perspectives and just respecting each other's taste and have proper mannerism towards each other is going to be the key to this, really. And you can still give the feedback to the devs nonetheless, and they get to decide how they go about it. Maybe find a perfect mix. That could be good too. And finally, which was actually the title of his video, the Genshinification of Wuthering Waves is because you are forced to play because everything is locked until you finish. Personally, I don't remember that being the case in Genshin Impact. I can be wrong. But back when I used to play, when you're doing stories, you can always just teleport to wherever you want and do your dailies and stuff. Maybe that changed since, but if I remember, that wasn't even there. Kind of like what Wuthering Waves back in the day. Maybe Genshin started doing that now and we were followed up on that. Now that's a huge problem. If that's the case, even if it's not the case, that's still a problem. They should not do it like that. Just maintain the status quo of giving us the liberty of not only the skip button, but also teleport out of the story whenever we want. We can easily pause it, no problem. And finally, he's suggesting that they forced us to not skip the stuff and be locked into it to not break immersion, so that you are forced to care about Liang Yu so that the later moments in the story hit, which I think is a fair suggestion. I can see that being the case, because what is the reasoning as to why they would not allow you to do that if it wasn't for something that they themselves want to build upon and maybe try to hide the poor writing. It does feel weird because why would they just lock you out of nowhere? This is just strange. There has to be a why, and the why of wanting to make you care about Liang Yu so that the story hits, because to maybe hide poor story writing for what they deem more critical fans could be a solid proposition. And I think we should not support this type of approach from the developers towards their stories, the storytelling to be specific, and towards us, the player base, obviously. But yeah, there it is. I think as long as the mannerism is good from all parties, we can have a good constructive conversation. I think there is good feedback from Saints critiques towards the devs that should be pushed and should be communicated to the devs so that we do not have this constructing type of storytelling thrown at us, the player base. I'm always going to be for options. I want skip, I can do that. I can move away, I can pause, I can do that. That's very important. We all are different, and also the timing in which the story is given to us is important as well. Sometimes I'm very busy. I can't do everything in one sitting, and I should not be penalized for having a life, right? That's a bit of a problem. And so yeah, I think some of the criticisms are obviously key. Some of the criticism fall short only because he tries to make them general consensuses and to try to, let's just say, play down people that may have different perspective, which again the opposition is doing the same to him as well. Hence we have this whatever the hell this is type of dynamic going on before us. That, in my opinion, just all parties, whether it's Saints or his haters or everybody, in my eyes, is losing aura at the more this mannerism is applied to a conversation like this, because I want us all to back away for a second and remember, we're all talking about a story in a video game that sells anime girls. Relax. It's not a big deal. It's fine. So just be more respectful toward each other. All right, we're already in Loserville. Don't lose aura in Loserville. That's just sad. I'm crying. But yeah, anyways. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.